Hello and welcome to the Canada News with your host Divya. Now let's take a look on the headlines. MP Sara Singh from Brampton Centre demanded in the Assembly to open outdoor activities related to sports. Huge crowds gather for pro-Palestinian rally in Mississauga. Trudeau calls for ceasefire as violence between Israel and militants escalates. Now news in detail. MP Sara Singh from Brampton Centre demanded in the Assembly to open outdoor activities related to sports. She said that no instruction has been given by the science table to keep these activities closed. Health Minister Elliott clarified that at the moment high number of cases, government will not open sports centre, but at the same time parks are for work and other outdoor activities.
Speaker, in Brampton, basketball courts are locked shut, the nets have been taken down, tennis courts and cricket pitches are all taped off, and across the province, golf courses and other safe outdoor activities sit empty. Despite the fact that medical experts never recommended closing these places in the first place. Speaker, my question to the Premier. It's clear that no one asked for this, not the science table, not the medical experts, not Ontarians. No one thinks this is a good idea. Why won't this government do the right thing, Speaker, and vote with us to safely reopen outdoor activities?
To reply, Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Well, we're not able to do that right now because our numbers are still too high in our hospitalizations. The Ontario Hospital Association is not in favour of opening all outdoor activities at this point. Our numbers are still high in intensive care units. Today, they stand at 779. That's a very high level. It's come down a little bit, but it's still a very high level. Notwithstanding that, Speaker, parks are open. People still can go out. We want people to go out. The weather is getting better. Please go out. Go for a walk. Go for a run. Walk the dog. Let the kids go run in the park. All of that can still happen. That is the way we have to do this in order that our hospitals remain able to take in all the people that they need to take in, and that we don't let this variant of concern take over again, because the last thing we want is a fourth wave in Ontario, which would be devastating for the province.
The supplementary question.
Thank you, Speaker. Well, Speaker, the science table actually recommends that Conservatives close non-essential workplaces, for example, and pay people to stay home and actually have a real paid sick days plan here instead of closing down our playgrounds and parks. They said that 2 weeks of sick days were essential to help stop the spread and keep people safe, yet the Conservatives ignore that advice as well.
Huge crowds gather for pro-Palestinian rally in Mississauga evening as violence continues in the Middle East. Protesters said they wanted to bring awareness to what Palestinians are experiencing amid the escalating Israel-Palestine conflict. Hundreds have died in recent days after Hamas, the militant group that rules the Gaza Strip, launched rockets and Israel unleashed airstrikes. Gaza Health Ministry says the Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 213 Palestinians, including 61 children, and wounded about 1,500 other Palestinians. Israel says 12 people have died, including 2 children, and at least 300 have been wounded. The rally was held at Celebration Square in central Mississauga, and demonstrators also marched on nearby roads. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is calling for a ceasefire between Israel and militants in the Gaza Strip today and is promising to work with allies to de-escalate the situation in the region. Trudeau told reporters in Ottawa today, "Our hearts go out to Israelis, Palestinians for the violence that is surrounding them right now. We all have seen the tragic images, families, innocents, kids affected. It needs to stop. That's why Canada is calling for a ceasefire. We will work with the international community to escalate the situation and to move forward so there is no more loss of civilian life." The Prime Minister issued the call as Israel bombarded Gaza with airstrikes and Palestinian militants resumed cross-border rocket fire today following a brief overnight. The United Nations sent a small fuel convoy into the enclave during infighting. It says 50,000 people have now been displaced there. The Manitoba Métis Federation, which is the government of the Indigenous people there, has announced a donation of 50,000 Canadian dollars to help India during COVID crisis. Federation President David Chartid said, "People are dying from lack of oxygen in India. Our hearts go out to all the families who have lost loved ones." Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced during a virtual program that the federal government is providing $10 million to recruit 2,000 auditors because Canada will launch greener homes in the coming weeks.
To talk about yet another step we're taking to create good middle-class jobs while fighting climate change. Thank you also to Cindy Garreau from the Canadian Association of Consulting Energy Advisors and to Corey Diamond from Efficiency Canada for joining us today. In the coming weeks, we'll be launching a new program, the Greener Homes Grant, to help retrofit up to 700,000 homes. This investment will provide energy audits as well as grants of up to $5,000 for homeowners so that they can make energy efficient improvements. If you're a homeowner, this will make your life more affordable and lower your energy bills, all while fighting climate change and creating good middle-class jobs. To make these renovations happen, we need workers who can install windows, heating and cooling experts, electricians, and insulation specialists. But before any of that work gets going on your house, you need an energy advisor who can tell you where you're losing heat in the winter or why your house is getting too hot in the summer, so you can plan what makes the most sense to invest in. We know that there's going to be a bigger demand for energy advisors now and in the coming years as more and more people retrofit their homes. And we have to make sure homeowners have access to energy evaluations everywhere in Canada. Today, we're announcing a $10 million commitment to recruit, train, and mentor up to 2,000 new energy advisors right across the country. Whether for people who already work in construction or in a whole range of other fields, this training program will open up new opportunities for people across the country. These are good, well-paying jobs. Everyone should have a chance to benefit from this great career choice. That's why we will actively recruit people from all walks of life to join the growing energy efficiency sector. Par le biais de l'initiative Maisons plus écologiques, on va investir 10 millions de dollars pour créer 2000 bons emplois de conseillers en efficacité énergétique.
Federal Justice Minister David Lametti has announced funding for the Indigenous and Reconciliation Commission. A total of rupees 9.5 million will be provided for 21 projects in this regard. He said that these projects would be run in the collaboration with the Department of Indigenous Affairs.
Pleased to join my colleagues, Ministers Bennett and Miller, along with Professor Hadley Friedland, co-founder of the Wahcowitan Law and Governance Lodge, Corin Lightning Earl, a lawyer at Wahcowitan, and Tom MacDonald, the president of the Assiniboine-Winnewac Nation. Cette annonce est importante, tant pour notre gouvernement que pour moi personnellement, puisque j'ai consacré une bonne partie de ma vie à l'enseignement du droit et à la service du pluralisme juridique. Il s'agit d'une réponse directe à l'appel de l'action numéro 50 de la Commission de vérité et réconciliation. Cet appel à l'action demande au gouvernement de collaborer avec les peuples autochtones afin d'actualiser leur système juridique et de financer les instituts de droit autochtones. Ce sont des derniers qui l'élaborent, l'appliquent et améliorent la compréhension des lois autochtones selon les cultures uniques des peuples autochtones du Canada. Le budget de 2019 prévoyait 10 millions de dollars en 5 ans pour soutenir des initiatives de droit autochtone partout au Canada dans le cadre du programme juridique de partenariat et d'innovation. Ce programme vise à améliorer l'accès à la justice et s'attaquer aux nouveaux enjeux du système de justice canadien. Nous sommes réunis aujourd'hui pour parler de ce financement. Today, we're pleased to announce funding of almost $9.5 million for 21 projects across the country. These projects will be led by or developed in partnership with Indigenous organizations. They'll focus on research activities, workshops, and other initiatives that best fit the needs of each diverse community. Several projects involve partnerships with law schools and other legal stakeholders, with the goal of researching and developing governance laws based on traditional Indigenous justice and normative systems. Others are focused on creating a written record of ancestral wisdom and knowledge from elders and knowledge keepers.
Major General Denny Fortin, who has been the face of Canada's vaccine distribution since November, is now facing charges of sexual harassment. The allegations of sexual harassment surfaced 30 years ago. According to the information received, the military police received a formal complaint against the Fortin in March. According to sources, the incident took place 30 years ago in 1989. At that time, Fortin was a student at the Royal Military College in Quebec. On condition of anonymity, sources said that an investigation was underway against Fortin in connection with the sexual assault of a woman. The Department of National Defense announced that Fortin was stepping down from its role in the nationwide distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine. Latest news and updates on COVID-19. Dr. Bonnie Henry, Chief Medical Officer of British Columbia, said there had been 1,360 cases and 14 deaths in the province in the past 3 days, with 350 hospitalized and more than 5,000 active cases reported. There are 3 active outbreaks.
From Friday to Saturday, we had 443 new cases of COVID-19 diagnosed in the province. Saturday to Sunday, an additional 493 people were diagnosed with COVID-19, and in the last 24 hours, an additional 424 new cases. Our total for the weekend is 1,360 people newly diagnosed with COVID-19, bringing the total number of people in British Columbia to 139,664. Of the new cases this weekend, 291 were people in the Vancouver Coastal Health Region, 861 were people who live in the Fraser Health Region, 36 people live in the Vancouver Island Health Region, 126 in the Interior Health Region, and 47 people live in the Northern Health Region. We currently have 5,021 active cases across the province, of whom 350 people are in hospital right now, 132 of whom are in critical care or ICU. And we have 132,841 people who have recovered from their acute illness with COVID-19. There are no new outbreaks to report in the province today, which leaves us with 3 active outbreaks in long-term care, assisted living or independent living, and 2 in acute care units. Sadly, this past weekend we've had additional deaths. 14 people in British Columbia have died from COVID-19, bringing the total number of people who have died from this virus to 1,648. Of the people who passed away this past weekend, 12 were people 60 or older, 4 each in the 60 to 69 year age group, 4 in the 70 to 79 year, and 4 were in the 80 to 89 year old. In addition, we had 1 person in their 40s and 1 person in their 50s. And this again reminds us that this virus, while differentially affecting the seniors and elders in our lives, also can have severe effects on young people, including people in their 40s and 50s and younger. And our condolences and our thoughts are with the family members, with the caregivers, the people who knew and loved all of those who died this past weekend.
Ontario Associate Medical Officer Dr. Yaffe described the COVID-19 outbreaks in the province. He said that 2,584 cases were reported in Ontario on Saturday and 2,199 cases were reported on Sunday. He said today 2,117 cases were reported, adding that the average rate of positive cases this week was lower than last week.
On Saturday, Ontario reported 2,584 cases. On Sunday, we reported 2,199 cases. And today we're reporting 2,170 cases of COVID-19. So this is the 8th day in a row that we have recorded under 3,000 daily new cases. Our 7-day average is now 2,352, and that's down from 3,017 a week ago and 3,577 cases 2 weeks ago. We're reporting an additional 58 deaths since Friday, which includes 4 today. And that is the lowest number of deaths we've seen in a single day since March. But as always, we do extend our deepest sympathies to the families, friends, and caregivers of those who have passed away from COVID-19. and to everybody who's mourning the death of a loved one during these very difficult times. We continue to see improvement in the number of hospitalizations and intensive care unit admissions. Today, there are 1,320 people in hospital with COVID-19, and that is up slightly from 1,292 on Sunday, but down significantly from a week ago where we had 1,632 people in hospital with COVID. There are also 779 people in the intensive care unit now, which is down from 785 yesterday and 828 7 days ago. So the trends remain encouraging, but the numbers are still very high, and they represent people who are very ill from this disease.
Toronto Mayor John Tory briefed the City of Toronto on the COVID-19 vaccine rollout process. He said 1.73 million doses had been distributed in the city of Toronto. Inside the immunization clinic, the mobile operations team also provided 4 million doses. Mayor John Tory claimed that 60% of Torontarians had been vaccinated with the corona vaccine.
Team Toronto has now distributed more than 1.73 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine in the City of Toronto alone. City-operated immunization clinics, together with the city's enhanced mobile operations teams, have now administered more than 400,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine, and more than 659,000 appointments have been booked at city-run clinics. We're announcing today that more than 60% of eligible Toronto residents have now been vaccinated. Again, this is another significant threshold, but no reason to stand back and admire. We have much more work to do. We know that, but I do commend the teams, all of the teams, led by Chief Pegg and our health partners and our community partners and everybody else for getting as far as we have. I want to thank all of them. They are heroes in ensuring that we will be able to get through the pandemic and reopen safely, which we all want to do. And I want to say thank you as well to the 60.1% of eligible Toronto residents, a healthy majority, who have stepped forward to get their shot. I'd like to highlight 3 amazing examples of the Team Toronto effort. First, I'm pleased to share an update with you on accessibility-focused vaccination clinic held on May the 13th at the city-run clinic at the Metropolitan Toronto Convention Centre. The clinic was a partnership between the city's Accessibility Task Force on COVID-19 vaccines and Toronto Public Health, and it is the city's response to one of the task force's recommendations. This was the first of 2 such clinics serving people with disabilities. Approximately 600 people and their caregivers were vaccinated last week, and around 1,000 more people will be vaccinated this coming Wednesday. Each client's accommodation needs were met, including ASL interpreters, sighted guides, or professional attendants, among other requirements. Torontonians with all different types of differing abilities were welcomed and were provided with a safe and accessible venue to receive their vaccinations.
Toronto Medical Officer Dr. Alan Dybla shed light on the latest situation of COVID-19. She said that 1,897 new cases have been reported in Toronto in the last 3 days. According to Dr. Dybla, 612 cases are being recorded in one day, adding that 1,011 patients are admitted in hospitals and 271 critically ill patients are admitted in ICU.
Today, I'm reporting 1,837 new cases of COVID-19 over the last 3 days, averaging 612 new cases daily. 1,011 people are in hospital. 271 people are in the ICU. And I'm saddened to report 24 deaths over the last 3 days. Where COVID-19 is concerned, there is often a gap between appearance and reality. Today, I want to talk about the variants believed to have originated in India and which are increasingly making headlines all over the world, and rightly so. These variants are now present in about 40 countries, including ours. These new variants are raising a significant amount of worry in the United Kingdom, which today is almost fully reopening. Hotels, indoor dining, the pubs, all are opening again. Cases of the variant have doubled in the UK in a little more than a week, from roughly 500 to over 1,300. The government scientific advisors there believe it is a realistic possibility the variant is as much as 50% more transmissible than B117, which was first identified in the United Kingdom. Early information suggests there may be some reduction in protection given by vaccines or by naturally acquired immunity from past infection. But overall, it's still good news if you're vaccinated. It is something to think about if you're not. The World Health Organization has called it a global concern.
So that's all we have in this edition. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more updated news.